All right, guys, so today I just competed in the Submission Hunter Pro in Houston. I was able to walk away with the submission victory via armbar from closed guard. And today I got my editor here with me, so we're going to break down the fight and let you know exactly what I was thinking, my strategies throughout the duration of the fight.
All right, let's watch the fight.
So as the fight started, I ultimately just went straight to the bottom position, and my opponent immediately rushed in to go to my closed guard and had no problem being inside it. As he was rushing in towards me in my closed guard, it was giving me a lot of opportunities to attack the upper body. In reality, when someone's in the closed guard, they want to have a nice base. So let's take a look at that. So as I have Chase in my closed guard, normally he wants to have a straight, strong posture. That way, as I try to bring him towards me, extremely difficult. As I try to reach up to the back of his head, it's hard. Where my opponent was making a mistake is he was rushing towards my head, trying to bring me and push me down, maybe sometimes covering my mouth, covering my face, and making me uncomfortable. This is great for MMA style of grappling or fighting. But in Jiu-Jitsu, as his head passes his hip line, it allows for a lot of different attacks to the upper body, such as your traditional arm lock position here, or where your training partner starts attacking the triangle choke. So as we continued the fight with my opponent, I noticed that as soon as I locked the triangle choke on him, he immediately tried to stand up and tried to slam me. And as soon as he picked me up, I instantly realized that slams were allowed in this competition. So I completely aborted the triangle and went straight to playing the guard.
How come you couldn't like grab his leg or something? Like, what would you have done to prevent the slam?
So normally, as you guys know, as soon as you lock a triangle and my training partner starts his action of standing up, now is a great opportunity for me to start sliding my hand underneath his leg, preventing him from lifting me off the mat. And now I can start cinching in the triangle and finishing with a nice strong finish as he's trying to stand up. Now, why was he able to stand up when I wasn't able to hook his leg? So the reason why he was able to stand up is as soon as I locked, he already had an upward posture, and now all he had to do was slide his feet close to my hips and deadlift all the way up, right? And as he's here, he brings me off the mat, and it becomes extremely difficult for me to reach under, right? So I let go of the strangle, and I just opted to play an open guard situation here where I can start attacking again. Yeah, so my opponent's really aggressive. He's coming out really headstrong, driving straight into the guard, pushing my legs around, trying to put pressure on my face, my body. And ultimately, what's just going to happen is it's going to end up bad for him in the long run, you know.
So the hip bump there, was that, I see you going straight to the triangle after the hip bump. Is that like a bait just to get him to post, or like what? How come you couldn't shoot straight for the triangle? You want to show?
Yeah, so right there is a really common setup that people use from the closed guard is they'll go for a hip bump sweep, and naturally what people do is they immediately post their hands on the mat, of course, to not get swept, right? Well, the thing about posting your hand on the mat is as soon as this happens, you allow your training partner or your opponent to wrap their legs around your arm and your shoulder, okay? So let's take a look at that. So this is a really common sweep that people will do, but more than a sweep, also a setup, okay? Obviously, the actual hip bump sweep is when I start turning on my side and controlling the arm entirely and just rolling my training partner all the way to mount, okay? Now, a lot of you guys or opponents or grapplers are going to be really used to this. They'll posture up. But if I act like I want to sweep there and just kind of post on the back of his head, a lot of times as I bump, my opponent will post their hand out, and now it becomes extremely easy for me to start wrapping my leg around his head and falling back for a triangle choke attack, okay? There are a lot of people that like to use this setup, especially in the gi or even in no gi. Yeah, so as I was able to lock that triangle from that sweep attempt, he was able to pick me up again, and he picks me up at a fast velocity to where I'm not able to hook the leg in time. So I just abort the triangle entirely, and I end up on my back again, okay? So as we continue on the fight, we'll end up back in the closed guard where my opponent will start to expose his upper body, as I mentioned in the beginning of the video.
Yeah, so I noticed this time that you're in the closed guard. You're going for that overhook a lot. But when do you decide to go over or underhook? Like, when is that advantageous to you?
Right, so as I'm in the closed guard, if you can cut your hips out to an angle, you can easily use an overhook to your advantage, right? You can also use underhooks to your advantage as well. For example, if you get like a pinch headlock or double underhooks, you can use those to help you sweep your training partner. Now, let's take a look at what we were talking about. As I start to arrive in the closed guard, like I said originally, I like to attack using overhooks, right? And because I can start using the overhooks, I can make sure that I start cutting an angle, right? So put your hand a little further away. So as I use this overhook, this can also be used as his underhook. So I have to be extremely careful with this. Now, to make sure that this doesn't get used as an underhook, I have to start escaping my hips out to one side. So what I'll do is I'll use my calves on my training partner's hips to start escaping my hips out to one side. Now from here, I can start attacking any type of triangle chokes by posting on his wrist, right? Or I can start escaping my hips out to an angle where I bring my knee above his shoulder, and I can start clamping down and start attacking any type of kimuras or shoulder locks, okay? Now this differs when the guard is open versus when the guard is closed. When the guard is closed, I can get away with using overhooks, okay? Compare that to when my training partner or my opponent is in the standing position above me and I allow him to catch an underhook, right? So if I try to use this as an overhook now, because he has so much space and my guard is open, he can start attacking a knee slice to the opposite side. And now I can't really utilize that overhook anymore, okay? So utilizing the overhook from a closed guard or a half guard will give you a lot more control over your training partner or opponent, especially as you go to attack and start escaping your hips to any type of angle you want. You can start attacking shoulder locks or any type of triangle chokes. Yeah, so right about in this situation, I was looking to attack the kimura from the closed guard, and my opponent was able to connect their hands and drive their hips forward to not allow this to happen. I was able to get a quick look at a little guillotine as I wrapped my hand around his neck, but he was able to put shoulder pressure and escape his head out and not allow me to attack the guillotine, okay? Now, as he's driving into me from the closed guard, he's bringing his head more in front of his hips, and that's going to cause a lot of danger for him, especially as I start to climb his shoulders and lock my closed guard over his shoulder. I mean, from here, we're just kind of in the half guard situation to where my guard is open and I just quickly recover back to a full closed guard. So now in this situation here, I start to lock my closed guard over my training partner's shoulder with both of his arms inside. Now, because both of his arms are inside, I can start attacking the bottom arm for an easy arm lock as I thread my arm underneath his leg. From here, I was able to finish the fight with an arm lock. Let's dive a little bit deeper as to how I set it up and finished. So my opponent, he was kind of pressuring in, and there was an opportunity for me to start stepping my foot on his hip, swiveling my hips, and locking up the closed guard, but over the shoulder, okay? So because I was able to lock over the shoulder, now I can start manipulating his upper body wherever I'd like. Now, the arm that I ended up attacking was this inside arm, okay? Because his elbow was past my hip line. If it was any more retracted, then I would rather go for a triangle choke. Now, the way I finished the arm lock in the competition is I took my secondary hand and I started to create space underneath my hips. Now I utilized my hand to start helping me spin my hips over and lock up the arm lock just like so, okay? Now, just using this hand was allowing me to spin underneath him. Now, as I spun underneath him, he felt the threat of me passing my leg over his face, and as soon as this happened, he ended up trying to lift up out, and I was able to finish belly down just like so. As I started to apply pressure, I was able to finish the arm lock. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching this breakdown of my super fight. I hope you enjoyed. If you like this style of video, leave a comment, leave a like. Also, make sure to subscribe so you can help me grow my YouTube channel. Thanks for watching, guys.